Hello there, and thank you for joining Smaato's webinar on our OTT advertising platform. My name is James Morris, a Group Product Manager here at Smaato managing our publisher products. Today, I'll touch upon the variety of controls and services that are at your fingertips when utilizing Smaato's OTT platform. Whether you're a streaming platform, OTT developer, smart TV manufacturer, vMVPD, TV network, or broadcast partner, and how you can use these to amp up your advertising strategy, ad monetization, and user experiences across OTT, CTV, and addressable TV. Smaato's OTT advertising platform offers a robust suite of controls, detailed reporting, analytics, and configurations that overlay Smaato's video ad platform and SSP, video ad exchange, and server-side ad insertion solution, and allows OTT publishers of all flavors to manage OTT properties, channels, content, ad break scheduling, ad pod construction, commercial and commercial break settings, and demand assignment, all in one platform. No more fragmentation. Today, we'll dive into the following in detail: inventory management and reporting, line items and unified auction strategy between demand sources, so auction rules, restrictions, deals, targeting, capping, how your demand sources compete and are prioritized. Creative management, so if you're running direct campaigns with advertisers or house promotional campaigns, uploading those creatives and running them on your ad pods. Demand source management, so vast tag mediation and bidding, as well as unified bidding, which is Smaato's header bidding solution, powered by Prebid Server and hosted by Smaato. Manual and pre-created reports on the inventory, buyer, advertiser, and partner level. Insights, business intelligence, and recommendations, integration options, as well as unique platform value adds that Smaato's OTT monetization solution offers you as a publisher. I know that's a lot to unbox, but we'll go through those in detail step by step. Without further ado, let's get started. One of the core features of Smaato's publisher platform is detailed, seamless inventory management. It can be done here in SPX on the Inventory tab. To start, we'll create a property or the environment your content is shown on. This is the starting point of all inventory creation within Smaato's publisher platform. This can be a mobile app, a website, mobile or desktop, CTV app, smart TV app, or vMVPD. We can do this by clicking on New App and then clicking on OTT. We're going to give our OTT property a name, a detailed description, which is optional, a store and site URL, which is going to be the download URL of the OTT property, as well as an accurate and appropriate category to best represent the content. Now, for platform URL, which is going to be the download URL, if you have a smart TV app or a vMVPD property that doesn't necessarily have a download URL, that's totally fine. You can provide a generic web domain. To start, we'll create an app called OTT Demo Roku. Description: the best place for streaming. Platform URL, I'll provide my channel store URL on Roku. And then we'll just select television as the category, click Save, and click Done. And now we've created our OTT property. Next, we will create a channel or the form of content that is shown on your OTT property. Depending on whether your content is offered as video on demand, VOD, or live linear addressable, live, you will create a VOD or live channel, which will allow you to delineate between content types in reporting, as well as configure your server-side ad insertion integration with Smaato, if applicable. To do that, we'll click on New Channel. We're going to give our channel a name and a type, depending on whether it's VOD or live. So in this case, I will call this OTT Demo Roku VOD and select VOD, and then that's it. However, if you don't have your own server-side ad insertion vendor already and would like to use Smaato's server-side ad insertion solution, which is built in-house, backed by our market quality technologies, is brand safe and offers creative deduplication and competitive separation, and stitches on HLS and Dash, you can do that as well. If you're going to do that, you can click on Enable SSAI, and then it's going to ask you to provide a little bit of additional information. First, you can provide a channel source. So this is going to be the source from which your content is streamed from. It's going to be an M3U8 URL if you're streaming via HLS streaming protocol, or it's going to be an MPD URL if you're streaming via Dash protocol. And this channel source can be your video database, it can be your CDN, or it can be third-party CDNs if you're working with third-party live broadcast partners. Start and end bump URL is going to be a house video ad that gets shown at the beginning and at the end of every ad break that we stitch into your content. Ad slate is going to be a house ad that gets shown during time in an ad break that is unfilled with ads. So if you have a minute-long ad break, only 45 seconds gets filled with ads, we would play your ad slate for the remaining 15 seconds and loop it if it's shorter in duration. Of course, for user experience purposes, you can also control how long you want your users to see your ad slate. In this case, we can put 10 seconds if we want that 15-second slate to get shown for 10 seconds, 0 if you don't want it shown at all, or you can just leave it blank to have the ad slate play for the full duration. We don't need to do that for now. We can just disable that and click Save. Within Smaato's OTT platform, we refer to VOD content as assets and live content as programs. When you send Smaato ad requests with content information in the request, like content ID, title, season, series, episode, rating, etc., Smaato's OTT platform will dynamically create new assets within the platform so you can report on the content level. That's right, you can see how Smaato demand and your third-party demand ad performance stacks up on the exact content title, whether it's a movie or a particular episode of a TV show. You can even increase bidding and CPMs in a contextual way on your inventory in situations where there's an absence of device identifiers and IPs. Another great reporting use case is evaluating licensing fees versus viewership versus ad performance so that you can determine which content performs best, which to keep, and which to discontinue. Next, we'll go here to the Ad Pods tab, where you're going to create an ad pod, or a group of commercials that play back to back on your channel's content. You as the publisher have total control over how you want the pod constructed, as well as how it's bidded on by demand sources. A default ad pod, which you can see here, is created when you create a VOD channel, which you can customize, but you can also create your own custom pods in order to truly tailor how you want commercial breaks to get experienced by your viewers. To do that, we'll click on New Ad Pod. And we're going to give our ad pod a name, a maximum pod duration, so that's the total duration of the commercial break, a type, so if you select dynamic, your Smaato is essentially going to fill that maximum pod duration with as many ads as we can from our buyers. You can also do manual if you want to build out the pod slot by slot and define exactly how many ads you want in that pod. You can define a minimum maximum duration, so how long you want the commercials and your commercial breaks to be. An auction type, so per pod if you want the whole pod sent to our buyers. Per slot if you want just each slot gets sent individually to get bid on by our buyers. As well as ad buffet. So these are extra ads that Smaato requests from its demand sources and returns back to the device, so that if a commercial in a given ad pod fails to play on the device, whether it's a rendering issue or a VAST wrapper, VAST version compatibility issue, you will have a backup ad to just go in and take its place in order to increase fill and ad performance. So what we'll do is we'll just start off for demo purposes creating a manual ad pod. So we'll call this OTT demo Roku manual pod. Give it a max duration of 120 seconds. We'll make it manual. And then let's say we want this to be a 4-slot pod where the ads are between 5 and 30 seconds of duration. So in this case, you can just put in 5:30, done. 5:30, done. 5:30, done. And last but not least, 5:30, done. Before I complete this pod, require fill means that we'll actually continue to request our demand sources for ads after a certain threshold in order to increase your fill. Companion ad just means that you want an end card to get shown at the end of the ad if it's, say, a post roll, or if you want one to accompany it outside of the video player. And then skippable ads if you want this particular commercial to be skippable. So now we have our 4-slot pod created, and we will click save. So next what we're going to do is we're going to assign the ad pod to a pre-roll, mid-roll, or post-roll ad break and schedule exactly when you want that ad break to occur, if it's a mid-roll, on your channel's content. This can be done here on the playlist tab, which is created by default when you create a VOD channel, which defines when you want ad breaks to play in your channel's content. You can essentially think of it as an ad break manager or an ad break scheduler. So we'll go in here and edit it. And you can give your playlist a name. So we'll call this OTT Demo Roku Ad Break Manager. And it automatically targets your VOD channel. We'll click next. And then what we have is our ad breaks. So we can give our pre-roll ad break a name, define what exact ad pod you want played during the ad break, and also define the creative type for that ad break. So linear will play a full screen commercial, while non-linear shows a banner overlay on top of video content. So we'll call this OTT Demo Roku Pre-roll. We'll select that ad pod that I just created and click next. And next we can add as many mid-rolls as we want. So we can create as many mid-rolls as we'd like, and we can give them a name, an offset type. So this basically defines basically when exactly you want that mid-roll scheduled. So whether it's an absolute timestamp, a percentage of playback, or an interval, and then an offset value. So we'll give this a name first. So we'll call this OTT Demo Roku Midroll. We'll select that ad pod I just created and select a creative type, and then we'll want this to start getting shown at, say, 30 seconds in, and then every, say, 500 seconds afterwards we want to show an ad. So we'll click that, and then we will click on next. And then you can provide the same information that you want for your post rolls as you did with mid rolls. You can also disable that depending on whether or not you want a post roll. And I'm going to disable that, and I'm going to click save. So now what we've done is we've created our OTT property, we've created a channel, we've created an ad pod, and we've assigned the ad pod to play in a particular ad break. Thus, we've covered all the aspects of OTT inventory creation inside of Smaato's OTT platform. OTT properties, channels, assets, playlists, ad breaks, ad pods, and ad slots. Now what we'll do is we'll define how the commercials in your ad pods are filled via demand sources, which we can manage via what we call in the Smaato platform line items. Line items inside of Smaato's publisher platform define what inventory is filled and by what demand. There are several types of line items that can be targeted to OTT inventory, which is your ad pods, individual ad slots, or your live ad breaks inside of the Smaato platform. The first is Smaato Exchange, or Smaato Demand, which is basically where we hold an open auction with all of our DSPs to compete to fill the impression. The next is Private Exchange, or Smaato PMP, where you will where we'll hold an auction with up to 25 DSPs of your choosing and hold a PMP auction to compete for the impression. And lastly is Smaato Exchange Preferred Deal, which is where you'll select to up to one DSP to do a first look deal with to fill the impression. Next, we have direct. So for direct, we have direct campaigns from advertisers where you will upload direct creatives from your advertisers to run to fill your ad pods. And then we have house or in-house promotional campaigns from you, the publisher, where you will upload your own creatives to fill your ad pods. Next, we have network line items. And this is third-party SSP demand that you can bring to the table via VAST tag. You can mediate this with Smaato demand, or you can bid against it in parallel. And lastly, we have unified bidding line items, or third-party demand that you add via pre-bid server and provide, say, a account ID and a placement ID. And this runs a header bidding auction that competes with all the other line items that you've set in a unified fashion. All these types of line items have the following configurations. So if we click on Add New Line Item here, you'll see priority. So this is the order this line item should be executed, as line items running at the same priority compete against one another. Next, we have traffic allocation, which is very useful for A/B testing, otherwise known as share of voice. It allows you to target that demand to a very specific percentage of the traffic that you send. Next, we have start date or flight date. That's when the line item or the demand source becomes active. End date, when the demand source becomes inactive. Day and time targeting. So if you want to run a deal that runs at prime time on Sunday and Friday, you can do that. Rate. So this is going to be the minimum floor average CPM that the demand source should bid at or above. So in this case, we have Smaato Open Auction. So if we provided a floor price of $15, Smaato DSPs would have to bid at or above $15 in order to compete to fill that impression. Now, if we selected targeted eCPM, Smaato DSPs can bid a little under or a little over $15 as long as it averages out to $15. Now, if you were adding a third-party SSP line item, you can provide the VAST tag for that particular SSP that you want to utilize to fill the impression. And if you're doing a direct or house line item, you can define volume capping, pacing, and impression capping as well. So volume capping can be unlimited or uncapped, pacing can be as fast as possible or evenly, and impression can be hourly or daily. Next, we have RTB rules. So this is going to be creative gating and restrictions that you apply for this particular demand source. So in this case, for Smaato Open Auction, we have domains and apps. So if you are a particular publisher, you don't want ads for a competing publisher to be shown to your users, you can block advertiser domains and bundles here. You can also block IAB categories or IAB subcategories to prevent ads of certain categories to be shown on your content. And lastly, you can also choose if you want to block particular creative attributes as well. If you have a PMP, again, you can select up to 25 DSPs that you want to compete to fill that impression. And if you have a preferred deal, you can select a single buyer. And next, we have targeting. So the first type of targeting that we have is inventory targeting. This is line items are applicable for which particular inventory that you already have set up, whether that's an ad pod, an individual ad slot, or a live ad break. And you can do that here by either targeting the whole pod or targeting each slot individually, which I'll do for that pod that I just created. Next, we have geo-targeting. So this line item would be applicable for traffic coming from particular countries. We won't add that for now. Demographics. So this will be, say this line item would be applicable for traffic coming from users of which genders or ages. So you can do age targeting via range or specific age, as well as gender. Connections, you can target Wi-Fi or cellular, device type, or device OS version, as well as key value pairs. You can also pass custom first-party data in the request and target against that, say, for particular use cases like deals. And we will click save. Oh, we need to give it a name, so we'll call this OTT Demo Roku Smaato Open Auction. We'll give it a floor price of 15, and then as we went through before, this is already targeting each of those 4 slots in the ad pod that I created. And we'll click save. So now not only have we created our inventory in Smaato's OTT platform, but we've also assigned demand to it, in this case, Smaato demand. However, you can assign multiple demand types to your inventory by targeting multiple types of line items to your OTT inventory. And depending on the number of line items, the priorities, the floor prices, and the targetings, Smaato will actually hold a unified auction accordingly. The result is impressive fill rates, eCPM, revenue, and an auction where open auction Smaato bidding, deals, direct campaigns, and third-party demand via header bidding or via VAS tags can all compete with one another for the impression, ensuring the highest CPMs and revenue possible. On the direct tab, you can see here that if I create a direct order for a particular advertiser and create a direct line item, I can actually upload creatives depending on whether that's a direct campaign with a particular advertiser or a house creative that I've uploaded. So in that case, you can click on new creative, give it a name, select video, and either upload a file or a video URL. Give it a click-through URL, a third-party tracking URL, a title, as well as provide a companion ad, whether it's image or HTML. By default, whether you're defining Smaato demand, direct campaigns, or third-party SSP demand, Smaato will return ads provided by its huge network of over 450 plus premium DSPs and 95 of the world's top 100 brands and agencies. But you can also bring additional demand sources to the table to compete and increase your inventory rates, inventory fill rates, and revenue even further. So to add demand sources, you're going to click a new network, custom video network, and then the name of the third-party SSP that you're working with. So in this case, we can call this third-party SSP, save and add line item. And then here, you will create a line item for that particular SSP. So we'll call this third-party SSP $12. You'll give it a rate, and then you would provide the VAS tag of that particular SSP here. So in this case, we can call this HTTPS vast.thirdpartyssp.com/ad/. And you can even fill parameters in that third-party VAS tag via Smaato's ad server macros here. So whatever user agent IP we get in the request to Smaato, we will ensure that that's forwarded to those third-party SSPs. You can choose whether that's HTTP or HTTPS, depending on the tag. Do request and impression capping, as well as target it to whatever inventory you see fit. In this case, I will target it to each of those different ad slots that I created on my ad pod. And click save. And similarly, you can also add unified bidding line items in order to enable Smaato's header bidding solution on your inventory as well. In that case, we would enable unified bidding on your account. You click on the unified bidding tab, add a partner, and create a line item for them to target to your inventory as well, just like you did with that network line item. And that is a wrap. We've gone through how to create OTT inventory inside of Smaato's OTT platform, as well as how to assign demand to it. So what is the end result, you might ask? So if we go back to our OTT demo Roku app, and we go to the ad pod, and we click on that manual ad pod that we have, add slots, and click on any given slot, say the first slot, you can see here that basically we are holding an open auction with Smaato's DSPs and requesting a third-party SSP for an ad in parallel, and both are competing to fill the impression as both they're at the same priority. Similarly, you can add deals that are, say, at priority 4 to get prioritized first, as well as even house ads to get shown if there's no fill, say, at priority 14. And basically what this allows you to do is, again, mediate or bid multiple different demand sources all inside of the Smaato OTT platform programmatic stack in order to ensure the best fill and best revenue performance for your OTT inventory. Lastly, we'll look at reporting. So we have this tab called RTB Insights, and this is basically where you have access to Smaato's advanced ad tech specialized business intelligence technology, otherwise known as Smaato Intelligence. Here you have various filters and metrics at your fingertips to get the exact reporting and insights you need, both on the supply side, which is listed here under My RTB Auctions, and the demand side, RTB Bids. And you can report on the buyer, third-party demand source, and advertiser level on the OTT property, channel, content, playlist, ad break, ad pod, ad slot, and line item levels across various metrics like requests, won auctions, served ads, impressions, video completion rates, view rates, and much more. Smaato offers the following ways to integrate with its OTT platform. You can integrate via VAS tag, either direct or put it in your ad server. VMAP tag, which is offered to our direct publishers only and is for VOD content only if you want to schedule ad breaks such as mid-rolls and post-rolls in your content. Stream tag, this is also offered to our direct publishers only for those publishers that want to integrate via Smaato's SSAI product. Pre-bid server, either direct or from your own ad server, as well as OpenRTB, direct or from currently supported exchanges. Smaato's OTT platform offers a diverse feature set that no other video ad server, SSP, or exchange on the market has. Reporting from the property level all the way down to the content and to the commercial level. Advanced ad pod controls, construction and bidding controls. Nonlinear ad support. Advanced stream performance analytics. Channel management. Ad break scheduling. Ad pod bidding. And unified auctioning at both the ad pod and the ad slot levels. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much again for taking the time to join the webinar today and learn more about Smaato's OTT offering. To learn more, check out our features on our website, download our OTT advertising ebook, and see some of the recent articles on our OTT blog, like What's the Deal with the AI? What is ad podding? Learn more about ad pods and slots, ad pod bidding and exposure, and contextual content. Have a great day, happy monetizing, and happy streaming.